winning, characters, gaming, excellence, natural dice, gifted. This is Professor Powergamer.
Welcome, lackeys, to the very first Professor Powergamer thinly veiled attempt to create gamer clickbait listicle extravaganza. I'm your incredibly overqualified host, Professor Powergamer. There's nothing more satisfying in all the realm of World of Darkness than outmaneuvering some lesser-skilled chump at the fine art of legislative dickering. In today's episode, I'll be giving you an objective list of the 5 best plans for playing the game of politics in Vampire the Masquerade. This list is compiled by me, the unmitigated expert of all things vampire. This list is ironclad, uncontestable, and if you disagree with me, you're simply wrong. Now, get your bottle of milk and change your diaper. This is the top 5 best political clans in Vampire the Masquerade.
Number 5.
The Bruja. Since the dawn of time, the Bruja have been taking giant steaming dumps on the vampire establishment. If there's ever been a system of control that favored a ruling class, the Bruja were certain to rebel against it. Historically, the Bruja elders have whined about their greatest achievement in Carthage. But it's the new blood of the clan that's causing real change. In the modern Knights, the Bruja have coalesced into the bulk of the Anarch movement. They've established powerful opposition to the stodgy old Camarilla and taken a few blue bloods down in their wake. They fall slightly on the list after departing from the Camarilla in recent nights. You can't have a verbal spat with the Harpy if you're not allowed in the city. However, they stay at number 5 because if debate and maneuvering fail, they can always smash their opponents into blood and ash.
Number 4.
The Giovanni. The Necromancers. Now, I know what you're saying. Professor, the Giovanni aren't even in a sect. How could they blah blah blah? Well, time for a history lesson, you uninformed noob. The Giovanni, that's pronounced Giovanni, convinced an eons-old mad antediluvian to bring their entire mortal family into the fold of the Cappadocian clan, slowly infiltrated the power structure of that clan, destroyed the antediluvian and those loyal to him, and wiped the remaining members of the clan that weren't dedicated to the Giovanni goals off the face of the planet. If that wasn't politically potent enough for your dandelion sensibilities, the Giovanni then somehow convinced the remaining vampire clans to leave them out of all the politics at the Convention of Thorns in 1493. Not only that, but the Giovanni also convinced the Camarilla that the Cappadocians, who came before them, were no big deal, and formalized a written treaty of non-interference in 1528. Oh, and all of this was part of their agenda to destroy the barrier between the living and the dead and rule both worlds like gods. Flash forward a few centuries, and when the Giovanni enemies came calling, they just invited the whole lot to dinner, offered them a buy-in, and gave themselves a lovely rebranding just like any smart corporation would do. What is more political than that, I ask you?
Number 3.
Everything I just said about the Giovanni, the Thetremere did better. And first, once there was nothing. Quiet, mage fans. And then, through a series of arcane rites, violent revolutions, and outright trickery, the Thetremere cult became the Thetremere clan. Once they'd taken everything that wasn't nailed down, the Thetremere set out to prove to the prevailing power structure how valuable of an ally the usurpers could be. They acted as bulwark against the ancient voivodes of the Zemits, sidled up to the bosses in the Venthyr, and convinced everyone that the Salubri, who they unironically diablerized, were actually the soul-eating demon worshippers. Were the Thetremere considered trustworthy? Hell no. But they sure did show their worth by hobbling the enemies of the nascent Camarilla. Like the Giovanni, the Tremere were able to convince the rest of the Camarilla that they were a non-entity politically. Unlike the Giovanni, they did it within the power structure. For centuries, the Tremere spoke from behind the throne, influencing the influencers and cultivating their monopoly on blood magic. Tonight, the Tremere are on a run of bad times, what with the destruction of their prime chantry and all. But the established entrenchment of the clan has kept them solidly on this list.
Number 2.
The Lasambra. Because, of course. Oh, did some of you think they'd be number 1? Well, grab a tissue to wipe away your tears because they aren't. Powerfully political, the Lasambra epitomize draconian politics. From prehistory to the foundation of the Sabbat and beyond, the Lasambra have pulled strings and maneuvered their pawns to get what they want. The Lasambra see it as their duty to rule, and those unworthy to be ruled beneath them. When the Anarch revolt failed and the Lasambra didn't like the offers at the table, they just went and formed their own sect called the Sabbat. With honeyed words of freedom and independence, the Lasambra slowly twisted the Sabbat to their own ends. They may have let the morbid Zemis act like the voivodes of the sect, but it was the Lasambra who ruled through politics and manipulation. Well, at least until something happened in the sect that the Lasambra didn't jibe with. So what did they do? They used politics and maneuvering to get a seat at the table in the Camarilla. Talk about the consummate politicians. When the party agenda changes and no longer matches your own, leave and join the opposition. If you think they'll play second fiddle for long, you're not looking at the big picture.
Number 1.
The Venthyr. Because who else could it have been? The Venthyr have sat on the throne since the day chairs were created. The Venthyr may have a reputation in the modern knights for being merchants, but don't be fooled. The clan knows that wealth equals power. Yes, the Venthyr rule, but this list is about politics, and the Venthyr exceed all other clans combined in their ability to dominate, manipulate, and cajole. Short of public defeat, the Venthyr maintain a facade of utter indomitability and honor. In truth, the Venthyr are Machiavellian by nature, willing to use any resource at hand to maintain their position of leadership and power. Do not be fooled. The Venthyr rule for the same reason anyone rules those they see beneath them, because they know what's best for you. The Venthyr are the most powerful political force in Vampire the Masquerade, and that's not even commentary on their disciplines, which only serve to solidify their political mastery. That's it for this episode of Gamer Clickbait Listicle Extravaganza. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Well, frankly, you'd be best served just keeping it to yourself. However, I don't have utter control over this channel, so I can't stop you from leaving comments just yet. Do you have ideas for more lists that I can do? Remember, it's not a game if you can't win. I'm Professor Powergamer, and you're not. Now, get your bottle of milk and change your diaper. Just kidding. Don't keep that in. As you can see, it's easy to fuck up.